So thanks very much for taking some time out on this evening to come and learn more about Jest for Joy, about what it would be to be a board member, and we are very grateful for that time, and for everybody who's watching the video at a later time, thank you for taking that time. What I wanted to do was go through this brief agenda, just sort of to welcome you, introduce you to the board, to those people who you are not familiar with. Obviously, there's some people who you do know, and others that you won't. Take you through a bit about the vision for Jest for Joy and where we're trying to take this thing, and how you can be part of that. The roles and the roles that we're looking for, and our specific requirements, and that which is required of a board member. And then we'll have some time at the end for questions. Really, it shouldn't take much more than maybe 10 or 15 minutes to go through all this. I've given you a handout there, and those of you on video, if you haven't got the handout, then you can email me at rupert.whiting, also rwhiting@focalpointcoaching.com, and I shall send you the document, just a 2-pager. So, thanks for that. Now, the vision for where we are now is we've been going about 3-4 years, and we haven't grown bigger really than GPC. We have slightly, but this is the one shift that we do a week. We do 4 hours here a week, and we do phenomenal work. Are you familiar with the work that we do here? You've seen the videos, the trailers and stuff, and you've spoken with people. Actually, before we go on and me talk about that, I was going to introduce you now to the board. Those of you who don't know, this is Alison, our artistic director. Is she known to everybody? You know? Yeah. Okay, great. Our artistic director. We've got Jill, who's our secretary, Jill Dearden, and Devon Taylor, who's our vice chair and assistant secretary, and recently just voted in as our chairman of the fundraising committee, which is a vital role for us in this charity. Behind the camera, there's Greg Kettner, member at large or board director at large, and Christine Coombs, our treasurer, our current treasurer, outgoing treasurer.
I should just make the distinction that artistic director is a position that I'm hired as Just for Joy. As on the board, I sit as just a member at large.
Good point, yes. So Ali wears 2 hats, artistic director and a board member. So those are the people in the room, for those of you who don't know. So our vision, I was talking about our vision. We want to take this therapeutic clowning, the clown doctor model, which is an element of therapeutic clowning. We want to make it much more of a part of the health system within the Greater Vancouver area. We can't influence, or we can't expect to influence in the short term healthcare Canada-wide, but we can set the wheels rolling in general healthcare. The problem we have here is we're tucked away. This isn't a place that we can advertise terribly well. It has a very slow throughput of people, so we haven't got people going out into the community to talk about the work that we do, and it places a big burden of fundraising on us, whereas we believe if we get into Children's Hospital, VGH, JF Strong, places like that, that we will generate more awareness of the work that we do and generate more supporters that way. So our vision really in 3 to 5 years is that we can be the catalyst for a number of clown doctor models in the healthcare industry, which is supported by business and supported by people who have benefited, and the fundraising then happens in the same way as any large charity. At the moment we're basically pumping the well dry once a year, using all that up and then going at it hard again. And that's not a sustainable business model. If any of you have been part of a charity before, you can't just rely on donations from individuals. It's got to be a corporate thing, and or grants, and we'll talk about grants in a minute. So we also believe, in the moment, Ali and her team of 4 other clown doctors do 4 hours a week. There's just 2 of them. I mean, give or take that 1 hour thing that we do somewhere else. And that's not a part of an artist's portfolio, not a big enough part of an artist's portfolio that they can sort of really commit to it. Ali has given up auditions. She has sacrificed a lot artistically to keep this thing going, and we need to have enough of a momentum so that Ali can step out and take her other professional stuff but also the incoming clown doctors can see it as part of their professional development, and they can add it to their portfolio as something that's a genuinely respected part of an artistic career in performance art. Okay, and that only happens when we have a number of different sites for them to go to, a number of different shifts, and they can rely on the income, and we can pay them more than we pay them, because at the moment we really pay them subsistence wages, and for 4 hours a week that's just not enough. We expect too much of them. There's also a requirement, this is really tough work here, it will be tough with the kids, but slightly different tough, and we need to put the foundations in place for the clown doctors, where they have things like proper professional debrief, mental health checkups and whatever, because it really is demanding, and that's going to cost more money, which we don't currently have. But our vision is we treat them like proper employees, and we have all the resources to support them in that way. Okay, and that's where we need help. The guys we have here have worked really hard for 2 or 3 years, and we are at the point now where we need to inject fresh blood for new energy, for new inspiration, for new networks, for new skill sets that will take us to the next level. At the moment, we've reached the plateau that this group could reach. We're very proud of what we've achieved, but we can take it to the next level with a fresh injection of different energies and different mindsets and skill sets. So that's what we're after. Now, on the sheet that you have here, the front page is all just a little bit about Just for Joy, which I don't think is necessarily news to anybody in the room.
I should just point out that we are a Canadian registered charity. I think everyone knows that, but that's helpful when it comes to...
Oh, absolutely, yes. So we can apply for grants, we can receive donations and give tax receipts and all that sort of stuff. But the point is about the roles is that as a registered charity, and we're not a Mickey Mouse organisation, we do have legal responsibilities to keep this entity that is the charity alive. Right? It can't look after itself. It needs people like us to look after it, and there are legal requirements to do that. And that's what we're asking you to take on, is a legally binding position on a board, if that's what you are ready, willing and able to do. So I just want to take you through very quickly the roles. There's the chairman, which is my current role, and I'm ultimately responsible for the effective governance of the foundation. It's very easy with these guys because we've got competent people who are doing what they're required to do, but ultimately it falls to me to check that that's been done. We have a vice chair who does all the responsibilities of the chair when I'm not around, and that's Devon currently. Yeah, and so I've put here, often this position is the chair-elect. In this case, the vice chair is not the next incoming chairman. In fact, the vice chair is going to step down, so we have a vacancy for that vice chairman's role. But that doesn't necessarily obligate you to become the chairman in the future. It's just a backup for me in the event that I'm on vacation for a meeting or something, or sick for whatever reason. We then have a treasurer, obviously, as the name dictates, that they look after all the money and keep me informed of cash flow projections and where all that money is and where it's going to go to. We have somebody in mind who's an accountant, but we do need somebody who can take over from Christine so that she can sort of step into a director-at-large kind of role. She's done it for 3 years, and we thank you very much for that. Thank you.
4 years.
4 years, my mistake.
Before we were ever Just for Joy, actually.
Okay. Then there's a secretary, and they look after all our legal documents and take minutes of meetings, hence Jill's doing that right now. Now, this is something that's, I think, is a bigger job than we necessarily gave it credence in years gone by. Really, it was just minute-taking and things, but really we need to get the documents in order, and Devon and Jill have said that they will make the handover simple, but really, when it comes to anything legally binding to do with forms filling in or whatever, then we're going to refer all those to the secretary, and they'll take care of it. Ali takes care of all the PR side of things, but the secretary takes care of all the legal things like filing reports and keeping our noses clean as far as the charitable status is concerned. So that's a big thing. And with Jill and Devon getting married next year, they would like to step down from the secretary/co-secretary role, and we're looking for that role too. That's a big one. We have the chairman of the chair of the fundraising committee, the COTFC, because I can't be bothered writing that out as much. And they're going to be responsible. This is a new position we've created, because previously this was the fundraising committee and we all kind of just acted in concert. What we really need to do to make ourselves grow is to, we've appointed Devon, or Devon has been voted in, the chairman of the fundraising committee, and there's going to be a number of teams working for Devon in the event management and the donor management spaces, and Devon will inform myself and the treasurer as to what money is going to be required and is going to be incoming, and that's going to make life a lot easier, because we can just say to Devon, as you did a fantastic job for those of you who were there this year, getting all those prizes and getting all the right people to our fundraising event, that it makes sense to ask Devon to take it on next year as the focal point for that. And also within that, we are going to be ramping up the grant writing element of fundraising this year, primarily the BC lotteries, but also there's a bunch of other grants and foundations out there that we can go ask for. What we haven't done a great job of up to now is pulling that together and making those applications. So in concert with the secretary and with Ali and whatever, pulling these pre-prepared grant applications together that makes it less onerous. At the moment we were doing them one-off and they're just this big hairy thing that we haven't really got our hands around. Then there's the roles of director at large, and really those are just people who are willing to say, yeah, you know what, I'm going to take a legal position of responsibility within this organisation, but I'm not going to have a particular portfolio. I'll just be there, I'll come to meetings, my vote counts, I'm going to pore over the books, I'm going to question what happens in the meetings to make sure that this business is moving forward as fast as we can. And we would like as many of those applications as possible, because directors at large really do drive this business as much as these other named positions. And then obviously there's non-board members, supporters of the cause, and they can help Devon anytime on fundraising events. So you don't have to necessarily take ownership of part of the organisation like a board member would do, although we would very much welcome that level of commitment. But if you feel that you can't for some reason do that, then anything that's non-board membery, you can join a fundraising committee without being
or an event committee, specifically only giving your time for like the month or two before an event or something like that.
Yeah, and that brings me on to the levels of commitment. As a board member, we meet as a board once a month for about an hour, sometimes 90 minutes, and that's the board commitment 12 months a year, with the actions that come out of that. But typically, they aren't terribly onerous. It's just really keeping ourselves on track. Where the effort really comes in is the event management and the fundraising. And the fundraising committee will meet much more regularly leading into the fundraising events, with Devon sort of driving that. So depending on how much time you have, I mean, for instance, you could be the treasurer and only come to 12 meetings a year once a month and have nothing to do with the fundraising apart from dealing with the cash and the credit cards and things afterwards. So there's not an obligation to be on the board and on the events committee. It just depends on what your level of available commitment is. Let me just check on the... Yeah, so we are currently looking for people to fill all roles. If not this year, then within 18 months. And I just want to draw up here the roles that we have covered for the next... we have an AGM in September, and I will apply for re-election as the chair, or put myself forward for re-election as the chair in September. We won't have a vice chair at that point. We won't have a treasurer, a secretary, but we will have chairman of the fundraising committee. We will have some directors at large, but that's there's no limit on the numbers of directors at large that we can have. So feel free to apply for those. We have somebody in mind as the treasurer, but that's not to say that they will definitely follow through. So if being the treasurer is of interest to you, then certainly please apply. And it would help if if that was something you wanted to do, to maybe shadow the treasurer who is voted in for the year or two until they want to step down into a director at large or out of the organisation altogether. You have my contact details there, whiting@focalpointcoaching.com, or my cell phone 604 339 5366.